When we started our debt-free journey, I was a mom to little ones. Actually, I was pregnant, but then I ended up having 2 children. We went through the entire debt payoff journey, paid off over 6 figures of debt in 4.5 years, and I had 2 little kids. I honestly had no idea how much harder it would make paying off debt as a mom. Now, of course, I am speaking from my own personal experiences. I cannot speak for other parents or fathers, but I will say that paying off debt as a mom came with a lot of emotional toll, and there were just things that I did not expect, and I had a lot of guilt around it. So this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you what I wish I knew while paying off debt as a mom, and this isn't a step-by-step guide. This is just kind of like my own personal reflections. Before I dive into the 5 things that I wish I knew before paying off debt as a mom, I want to acknowledge the guilt and the mental load that being a mom on her debt-free journey comes with. I vividly remember wanting to create a childhood for my kids that was fun and carefree. I wanted our home to be this Pinterest perfect picture for my children to have these wonderful memories. And honestly, I couldn't do it all. I couldn't have the perfect home, create this absolutely magical social media worthy highlight reel childhood for my kids while I was paying off debt. Because the truth is that to create that for your kids, it costs money. And for us, a lot of our extra money was going to paying off debt. Now, I will say that I consider myself actually really lucky because we started our debt-free journey in 2012. That was kind of when we kicked it off. We got pregnant in 2011. In 2012, we actually started making extra debt payments. And back then, I was on Pinterest a lot. I was on the internet, but social media was just a completely different landscape altogether. You were only really following people that you knew, and people were sharing their life, but it wasn't as in depth and flashy as I feel like it is right now. So for me, there wasn't as much of this desire to compare as there might be right now for someone. But I do vividly remember feeling guilty every time I had to say no. I remember when my oldest son turned 1, back then, and I don't know if this is the case now, 1-year-old's birthday was a huge, massive deal. You would go all out, have the smash cake, the adorable decorations, and I wanted to give that to my son. But I also didn't want to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars paying for this party that honestly he wouldn't remember. That was really for me and the other adults there. I vividly remember having this almost tug of war in my mind where I wanted to spend money and go all out on this birthday party and make it just the most amazing thing. But I also didn't want to spend money on that. I wanted to not get behind on our debt-free journey. I wanted to continue to make progress. I had to find a balance. And I remember feeling guilty for not giving my son, who was 1 and literally did not care. But I remember feeling guilty for not giving him this over-the-top magical birthday party. Looking back now, I realize that I made the right call. We had a budget. I DIY'd a lot of the decorations. It was the right call because he didn't remember it. We still had a great time, and we were able to still stay on track when it came to our debt-free journey. I believe that every parent truly wants their kids to have this normal, happy childhood. But when you're paying off debt, it feels like you're constantly having to cut back. It feels like you're constantly having to say no to things that either your kids want or maybe even you want for your kids. Also, as my kids got older and we were working to pay off debt, I remember just trying to almost hide how stressed I was with our money. I wanted to make sure that my kids weren't picking up on my financial stress, my overwhelm with money, and everything that comes along with paying off debt. As parents, and especially as moms, we already carry this invisible weight when it comes to wanting the best for our child, trying to protect them, asking ourselves if we're making the right decisions. Throw in financial stress, wanting to pay off debt, that invisible burden just becomes even more to carry. I think part of the emotional toll and the emotional weight of it is the fact that it's not just about the money, it's not about the numbers and the bank accounts. It's about the pressure that we put on ourselves to get it right, not just for us, not just for our partner, but for everyone in our family. And that emotional toll, that burden, that weight can feel really heavy. It can make you question if what you're doing is right. It can make you give up on your debt-free journey. And so I'm just here to tell you that it's normal. I felt it too. So let's talk about the 5 things I wish I knew while paying off debt as a mom. The first thing is that you can make sacrifices. You can still say no to things and still be a good mom. There are gonna be so many little extra things when it comes to having kids, and it's very easy to want to give them everything, especially if you grew up feeling like money was tight. Then you definitely tend to fall into wanting to give them whatever they want because you want them to have a different childhood than you had. That's not bad, but it doesn't mean that it's the right financial choice for you. I fully believe that working to pay off debt, working to create a strong financial foundation for your family is the same as putting your children first. It's the same as prioritizing for their future and for them. Because when you have a strong financial foundation, when you are able to make your bill payments, when you're not living paycheck to paycheck, when you have money in savings, you show up as a better parent. And that ultimately helps them. So when you're seeing all of these other parents, everyone around you is spending money on all of these little extras in life that are not necessary for your children, or maybe you pick and choose what extras you want to spend on, but they don't need it all. When you start feeling bad, remember, you can still make these small sacrifices for your family, for your kids, and it doesn't make you a bad mom. You are a responsible parent with boundaries that ultimately is going to help them in the long run. I wish I knew that. I feel like I gave myself a hard time whenever I was a mom, feeling like I was never doing enough. I was never saying yes enough. And looking back, I realized they didn't even care. Like they didn't even remember it. So it's okay to say no and have those boundaries in place. The second thing that I wish I knew as a mom while paying off debt is that my kids won't remember the stuff we bought. Instead, they're gonna remember how they felt growing up in our home. Let me explain. I used to feel really guilty about not buying my kids the nicest things, the nicest toys, or even taking them to Disney World whenever they were little. I remember comparing what our Christmas tree looked like on Christmas morning compared to other people that I knew. I felt like my kids weren't getting as many toys. Their toys weren't as grand or exciting. And I felt bad because we were paying off debt. We were on a budget. Looking back now, and I'm able to look back now and realize this, all of those things, all of the toys, all of the stuff does not matter. What matters more is your relationship. What matters more is the conversations, the dance parties, the time spent together, because that's what helps them feel loved. It's not the stuff, it is you. It is time with you. Of course, it's easy for me to say that now because I have a 13-year-old and an almost 11-year-old, and I can look back and realize that those things didn't really matter. Those stuff, the toys, all of that didn't matter because we were still showing up for our kids. And I think it's totally normal that accepting that and believing it is something you're gonna have to do over and over again. It's not something where I can just tell you, don't worry, stop feeling guilty about not getting your kids all the best things or all the toys, and you're just like, oh, of course, I'll stop feeling guilty. I don't think that it's as quick as that. I think this is one that you're gonna have to remind yourself over and over again, and that's totally okay. The third thing that I wish I knew as a mom paying off debt, and this is one that is very personal to me. I'm not saying that this is going to be something that you're going to struggle with. It's that a perfectly styled home doesn't matter. We moved into our current house back in 2019, and my son was going into second grade. He was really struggling with moving to a new city, leaving his friends behind, the fear of going to a new school, all the normal kid things. I remember whenever we moved in, I was shopping like crazy. I was ordering things on Amazon. I was trying to get the plants and the furniture and the pretty artwork. And I was putting all of this unnecessary pressure on myself to make our house just this beautiful, calming place because I thought that would be the thing. And subconsciously, I thought that would be the thing to make him feel better, to make this transition easier for him. But guess what? That wasn't the thing. It wasn't. And it took my husband and I having a serious conversation about my patterns, about my spending, and me doing the work and realizing, okay, why am I wanting to spend and overspend money and curate this beautiful, Pinterest perfect, Instagram worthy home? And I realized it was for my children. Honestly, that's not what they needed. They didn't need that in that time, but I believed the lie that if I created this beautiful house, that it would fix all of the difficult transition experiences that I was putting my kids through. But you know what? My kids don't care about throw pillows. They don't care about artwork. They don't care about the paint colors. They don't care about the pretty rugs or the styled bookshelves. They don't. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that your kids don't care either. Stop putting the pressure on yourself to have this home that would be featured in a magazine. No, that's not what's important. What's important is that you are present. What's important is that you're creating memories and that you are spending time with your kids. The fourth thing that I wish I knew while paying off debt as a mom is that saying no doesn't make you mean. It makes you intentional. Now, I am a people pleaser. I am the yes girl. I will say yes to everything. It's not something that I'm proud of. It's something that I'm actively working on. However, I remember telling my kids no and thinking, oh my gosh, they're gonna hate me. I'm such a mean mom. I'm such a difficult, strict parent because I'm not spending money on my kids for them to get this or get those name brand shoes. When you tell your kids no, and it's for a good reason, it's for your financial future, you are teaching your children priorities, boundaries, values, and helping them make hard choices. A couple of years ago, my son asked me why some of his friends get a lot more Christmas gifts. They get a PS5 and an electric scooter and all the things. Compared to what my kids got, it felt like they just weren't getting a lot. And he was asking, why aren't we spending more? Why aren't you saving more for Christmas? Not really in a way that was rude. It was just curious. I want to say that the conversation was approached with curiosity, not disrespect. And so I sat down and I said, look, the truth is that we are saving money and we are investing as well. And I explained to him that when we retire, one thing that we really don't want is we don't want our children to have the financial burden of helping us out. And because we don't want our kids to have that burden, that means that we invest every single month. We are sending money to investments, money that by all means could instead go towards Christmas gifts. However, we're already sending money to Christmas gifts. So I explained that to him. He was probably 11 at the time, maybe 10 or 11. And I just said, look, we're making different choices. Of course, that doesn't mean those other families aren't investing. I feel like I have to throw that in there. But I was just explaining to him where we choose our money to go, that we are saving for holidays, we are saving for gifts, but we're also saving for all of these other things. We're saving for your college, we're saving for retirement, we're saving for an emergency fund. And when you're splitting your money between those things, you have to make decisions. You have to make decisions about how much you're sending to different places. All of that to say, when I was actually able to explain that to him, I stopped feeling guilty. I no longer felt guilty about saying no. And instead, I was able to show him how we are very intentional with our money. And I think that that's something that our kids need to see us be. They need to see us be intentional. And so if you're working to pay off debt, if you're in the middle of this debt-free journey, it's okay to tell them when they're at a certain age, we are working to pay off debt so that way we can have a really amazing future. Saying no to your children and having those boundaries isn't mean. It's intentional. And if you ask me, I think that more people should be intentional when it comes to their money. The fifth thing that I wish I knew as a mom while paying off debt, and I guess it's something that I knew. I knew this going in, but I didn't really believe it. And it's that this is a season. It's not your forever. When we started paying off debt, we had $6,000 worth of debt. When we did the math, we figured out, okay, if we really focused, like if we really worked on this, we could pay off this debt in 5 years. I remember being in that timeline and thinking, this is taking forever. I remember it feeling like it was just this slow pace, and it was driving me crazy. And the truth is that it is totally normal for debt payoff to feel slow when you're in the middle of it. In fact, most people feel that way, and that's why they give up, because they want to do something different. They want a change of pace. They want something to feel faster and quicker and funner and better. Is funner a word? I don't think so, but that's okay. I'm going to use it anyway. It is so easy to get started and give up, especially if what you're facing is a longer time frame when it comes to paying off debt. I'm not talking about paying off debt in 6 months or even 9 months. I'm talking about when you are working to pay off debt for years and years and years. That is a marathon, not a sprint. And we have to build up our endurance so that way we don't give up. And the way you do that is you acknowledge, okay, this is a season. It is not forever. It feels long right now in the moment, but it won't feel long whenever it's over. I promise that what's waiting for you on the other side is worth it. If you're interested in learning exactly what my husband and I did to pay off 6 figures of debt by writing a budget and building wealth, I pull back the curtain and I show you the exact steps we took. It's a 90-minute on-demand class. Over 15,000 people have taken it, and you're going to walk away with a step-by-step plan to follow whether you are in the middle of your debt-free journey or you want to pay off debt. This class is for you. I'll link to it down below so that way you can save your spot. I know firsthand knowledge that what's waiting for you on the other side of paying off debt is worth the battle. It is worth your time, your energy, your consistency, your discipline. And I can promise you that your kids seeing you reach this goal is going to do so many amazing things for your kids. It's going to teach them what resilience looks like, what grit looks like, what hard work and effort looks like, and they get to see you do it. To the moms listening to this right now, it's time to let go of the guilt where you feel like you're not doing it good enough, quick enough. Let go of the guilt that your home isn't perfect, that your kids aren't wearing all name brand clothes, that you have to say no and create boundaries for them. Let go of it. You are doing the best you can, and you are doing the right thing. When your kids see you working to pay off debt, they are seeing you live your life with purpose, not perfection. And guess what? And I will say this 100 times a day if I need to. Your kids don't need more stuff. They don't need more toys. They don't need more clothes. They don't need more technology or gadgets. They don't need any of it. They just need you. They need you. They want you stable, they want you present, and they want you involved. And when you're able to do that, their childhood is going to be amazing. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story. You can comment down below and just tell me what it's been like for you paying off debt as a mom. What are you nervous about? What are you proud of? What do you feel like is working or is not working? Or just let me know where you are on your debt-free journey in general. And don't forget that if you want the exact steps that my husband and I took to pay off over 6 figures of debt without hating our life in the process, I share it all. I break it all down for you in my free budget class. I'll link to it down below. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video, all about the emotional side of paying off debt as a mom.